The Democratic primary in New Hampshire today will not count. There are no electoral votes. The Democratic National Committee had said a couple of years ago, we want to change the order of the primaries. And New Hampshire said, no, we want to have it now. And this happens from year to year. I think when Obama ran, there were 2 states that didn't have primaries. And so Joe Biden is not on the ballot. There are, however, I think 16 Democratic names on the ballot. There is a writing campaign by the New Hampshire Democrats who are apparently happy to have the yoke of the National Democratic Party off their back so they can run a good campaign for Joe Biden as a writing candidate. Also, people are writing in ceasefire now, I think it is, which I think would be an encouraging thing to do. Look, if the Democratic Party in New Hampshire thinks it's a good thing to put in Joe Biden's name because of what impact it'll have, I don't know if they're right or wrong. There's no reason to think that putting in ceasefire now also wouldn't be a good thing. We'll get more into that maybe later, but the latest tracking poll out of New Hampshire shows that Trump gained 3 percentage points. It's actually the final tracking poll, giving him a 60%, 38% edge over Haley. You gain those 3 points theoretically in the wake of Ron DeSantis stepping gingerly off the stage of the Republican primary. About 1% of those surveyed chose someone else. 1% were undecided, and 1% refused to answer out of, I guess, what was left of DeSantis's 6% there. But Nikki Haley, she's putting on, she's giving it the old, I don't know,
the old
America's
try.
Not Racist try.
Yeah.
And here she is. We should say, coming out of Iowa, 43% of Nikki Haley voters said that they would refuse to vote for Donald Trump. But watch this now.
And then Donald Trump.
Well, no, and it's
pause it. I should say you can tell. Keep that image up there. You could tell they're up in New Hampshire because of the way that Ducey and Kilmeade are dressed.
What is Kilmeade wearing?
Well, first of all, I mean, they have the state of New Hampshire flag behind them, so that's a bit of a giveaway, but it's also rustic up there.
It's so rustic.
They're so
and
down to earth.
But look at the 3/4 zip up.
Oh, yeah. That's Vineyard Vines. I mean, that is, or something. Actually, it's probably more expensive than that. But that's New England preppy. That's kind of what
I've
it
never
is.
seen something like that.
Yeah.
Believe me, we didn't quite see that in Worcester. There was a little bit of that, but
You would have gotten beat up.
Oh my God!
Out on the campaign trail, you have said, and you reflect some of the polls that show you would beat Joe Biden by a larger margin even than Donald Trump.
Well, no, and as much as y'all like to sit there and say Trump's going to have this, the truth is you're not acknowledging that 70% of Americans don't want a Trump-Biden rematch. Both Trump and Biden, their disapproval numbers are through the roof, and y'all have yet to acknowledge that. And so what I'll tell you is, look, normal people don't look at what the political elites are saying. Normal people are not listening to what the media is saying. Normal people are saying, we want somebody that can go 8 years, that's going to stop the wasteful spending of Republicans and Democrats. We want someone that's going to get our kids back on track. We want someone that's going to secure the border.
Pause it for one second. Can you pause it for 1 second? Just go back a little bit, because there's 2 things that really strike me. One, Nikki Haley is not a normal person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Boeing
she's
executive.
not a normal person. Not a normal person. But also, it's really enjoyable to watch how impatient Brian Kilmeade is throughout this thing. At one point, you can hear him go, and he's looking around. He's annoyed. He's annoyed.
He's always annoyed.
He's going to get in trouble from Trump for having Haley on there. So, why am I the one who has to sit next to her?
And Ainsley Earhardt, girlfriend of Sean Hannity, who's Trump's #1 water boy in media. Yeah.
Somebody that can go 8 years, that's going to stop the wasteful spending of Republicans and Democrats. We want someone that's going to get our kids back on track. We want someone that's going to secure the border. And here, Trump has lied on TV and spent millions saying, I want to cut Social Security, which I never said I would.
I saw that ad yesterday.
Yeah, but you guys haven't talked about it. He said I was going to cut Social Security. I never said I was going to do it. He said I didn't want to secure the border.
You're going to raise the Social Security age because for the 20-somethings now, right?
What did I say? I said anybody in the system, we're not going to touch them. Those new coming into the system
So
in the
20-something.
20s, we're going to go and start reflecting life expectancy. That's different than going on TV and saying I'm going to cut Social Security by 87%.
The facts are, and I hear you, but the facts are, and it's hard when you're doing these shows. We try to cover it all, but we only have X amount of time. So we definitely are doing our best to be accurate and give the facts. The facts are that Donald Trump beat you by 30 points in Iowa. Now in New Hampshire, the facts are that you were down in the polls. These are the polls. We know polls can be wrong. If you don't win today, do you go on to South Carolina? And I'm from South Carolina, and we love you there. We love Tim Scott there, but Donald Trump is also loved there. You don't want to go into your state and lose that state if you stay in the race, because we'd love to see you in some other capacity down the road. What is your response to that? Do you get out if you lose today?
No, I don't get out if I lose today. I mean, first of all, again, I'm going to say this. We've had 56,000 people vote for Donald Trump, and you're going to say that's what the country wants? That's not what the country wants. We're going to have New Hampshire vote today. They deserve to have the power of their voice said. I've won South Carolina twice. Do they support Trump? Of course they do. I voted for Trump twice. I think he was the right president at the right time. I don't think he's the right president going forward. There's a difference between support and where you want our country to go. I'm going to fight just as hard in South Carolina as I did before.
But do you worry, the Iowa polls were right. The distance was about what the polls were. Right now, you're down double digits in probably the last three major polls. And in South Carolina, I think you're down 40 or 50 points.
Oops.
So you think those polls are that dramatically wrong and you can make up that difference?
Well,
in
I'm
about a
not
week?
down 40 or 50 points in South Carolina. I think we need to have a current poll in South Carolina. But I'll also tell you this. When I ran for governor, I ran against an attorney general, lieutenant governor, and a popular congressman. And I worked it and fought for it and earned it. I'm going to go into South Carolina and do the same thing. I take nothing for
So there's
granted.
no scenario where it stops tonight.
Of course not.
They
We've already
are
made
begging
our ad
her.
Yeah, how many? You
I
put
mean,
4
we're-
million in ads?
We've put in an ad buy. I don't know how much it is, but it's strong. We saved our money. I hoarded money all the way through. We stayed in garden inns and residence inns. We were the only one that flew commercial because I wanted to make sure we could run through the tape on this. I'm going to fight no matter what. I don't care how much y'all
Commercial?
want to coronate Donald Trump.
You
At the end
fly
of the day, that's
commercial?
not
I
what
don't think
Americans
voters want
want.
somebody
That's
for this
gross.
commercial.
I like the admission where Ainsley Earhart there says, we'd like to see you in some other capacity. Wink, wink.
It's like an intervention.
Don't
Like,
you dare burn these bridges.
Yep.
You know that I've got direct line to
Yep.
Sean's got direct line to the big
That's
boss.
exactly what's going on there. Is that like I think it's probably best that you get out after this.
Right.
The difference between watching Barack Obama call the Democratic field and say it's time for you to get out for Joe Biden. We're just watching that actually play out on camera via the Fox and Friends, essentially delivering the message.
Yeah.
It's time for you to go.
And Nikki went into that interview pretty defensive. Like, they were like, hey, whoa. Trump can criticize Fox News and we'll just take it. But when it's coming from you, that's not something we're going to stand for.
There's a lot of Koch brothers money behind her, so we'll
Yeah.
see. But the
But she
interesting
didn't seem that confident. She's like, it was very defensive.
Oh, yeah.
there's just a tiny bit more
There you go.
of kill me.
No matter what. I don't care how much y'all want to coronate Donald Trump. At the end of the day, that's not what Americans want. Americans want a choice. And we're
kill
going to
me.
give them that choice.
Saying coronate, lie, not tell the truth. What are you saying in the couch? I'm really wondering why you think we're the enemy.
Because I've looked at the media. Look at the media saying, oh, this is Donald Trump's to have. Look at the political class all coalescing and saying everybody needs to get out. That's not democracy. That's not who we are. Who we are is, when have we ever had two people, down to two people in New Hampshire, and you say, oh, it's over? We don't do that. South Carolina is an amazing
Isn't
state
it
when
hard
it
to
comes to
believe
picking
that
president.
3 states really could choose an election for the entire country?
I mean, it's what
what is going on there?
That's amazing.
Ames is getting a hallmark a
Yeah.
little bit.
She was, I mean, I don't
Enjoy
think.
her last time on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
don't
like
think she
her.
was
I
expecting
like
that.
her saying that, look, we tried to cover everything here. It's really tough. I like it from January 20th, 2024. Oscar Mayer Wienermobile stops at Fox Square. Oscar Mayer hot doggers talked. Yeah. So,
What are they going to do? Not cover that?
exactly. Yeah. I don't know. You're going to leave the Wienermobile not
Yeah.
covered?
You need to cover that. We've got other news to get to. I just want one more point about that. Is that 43% of Nikki Haley voters coming out of the Iowa caucuses said that they would not vote for Trump. And it's quite clear, and maybe we'll talk about this in later today. The strategy of the Biden administration is definitely it's us or Trump. I mean, it's a lesser of two evils argument, which is a relatively strong argument, and could theoretically, I don't know, I go back and forth on this, theoretically be more resonant than it was even in 2020, because Trump's not going to win back these voters. Like this time around, when they say, I'm not going to come home to the Republican nominee, I think you could take them more seriously. It's probably a smaller number than it was in 2016, let's say, but I don't know. We'll see.